Yay, now we are. There we go. Doggo! Boop! Boop! Go on, dingo. Oh. I saw the fucking rat this morning, literally on top of this, on this fucking trap. So close to getting that fucker. So close to getting that rat. Being on top of that was really, like, starting to get to the last straw type of shit. This rat's taunting me. And of course the little bastard decided to run, like, back over here, so now he ran off over in this way. Little shit. But bro, what's up, man? It's been a minute since you popped in. How's it going? Oh, I gotta actually, hit you up about something here a little bit. More privately, but I'll have to hit you up about it. Man, oh my god, now you're getting into it. Oh my god, okay. I'm getting love and affection now all of a sudden. Hold on. Oh, it's probably gonna be loud. Yeah, I knew it. Okay. I knew that was gonna be loud. Okay. Fucking hell life. I feel you with that, honestly. Things felt like they were going so good. Until recently, but not even, I just can't fucking try to push forward through, I guess. Not before I work. I have to work too. Well, I mean, I want to be able to call while I'm streaming, but I'll try to call you like on a break or something like that. Just eat some homemade Jamaican rice and beans. That sounds good. Jamaican rice and beans. Ooh, that sounds delicious. Throw money at you if that helps. Dude, money ain't gonna help anything when it comes to the situation I'm in. Well, I mean, I guess it does, but it doesn't actually help. I mean, well, not in the way you think it would. So that ain't gonna really mean much. Unfortunately. That's me. Alright. Yeah, I can at least, try to hit you up what's going on. Or what's up, too. Because I was meaning to hit you up, too, at some point, anyway. I mean, I hope pay bills if you need help. Okay, bro, Venom, alright, I get it. But, dude, you don't need to, like, go that route. It's fine. What's going on? No, it's about my mom, but I don't really want to get too much detail about it. I mean, I'll talk about it eventually at some point on stream, but just not right now because I'm still trying to kind of process it. No, she's not dead. She's still alive, by the way. Just make that clear. She's still fine. She's okay. But it's just like, it's more about like her long-term health and stuff that I've learned. That's just like, ugh. So you got friends? I know, man, I got family too. I mean, I know one thing, that I got, at least, even though I obviously might not necessarily philosophically or politically necessarily see eye to eye, I mean, I still got my family and shit. On the start stage of heart failure. I mean, my mom has like a heart failure diagnosis, but I mean, and I don't know what like stage or anything, but I mean, it's one of those things where even that, that's like, one element of terminality that she has. But that one can at least be kind of kept up with, as long as she just kind of keeps her health in check, and it can at least be dealt with. But, I mean, she really mainly has, like, one terminal, like, diagnosis right now, which is OCPD. But she also has another one that kind of came back around a little bit. But and that one's the one that I don't know much about. Hoping towards the higher end of that. Yeah, no shit. Feel you with that one. Oh, that felt good. Had cancer like 7 times after he was a chemical technician. Probably due to exposure to all the chemicals in his life. Yeah, well, I guess I could just, like, mention it, but it's just like, at least, for her mom's case, it's just because her cancer came back, and due to her, other health, issues and shit, it pretty much makes it fucking damn near impossible to actually treat. Because I've asked about, like, what are options, and it's like, well, there also are like clinical trial stuff, but those aren't really like seen as a like cure-all or anything. Those are just maybe, but I have read about like a pill that can like heavily treat and basically remove like a good decent amount of cancers. I think like 60% of them, which is a good chunk of them, like, but I don't know. And I asked about, like, I forgot what it's called, but, like, the, surgery where you removed uterus stuff, because that's where it came back. And, at least with her current health condition right now, she wouldn't be able to have that operation. Like, she just wouldn't be able to survive it. So it's just like, I mean, at least as it stands right now, they don't really have many options. But that doesn't really mean that there isn't, but it's just, obviously one of those things where it's like, especially, from what I remember when with the first diagnosis and shit, it ended up being very tumultuous for like fucking like a whole decade, and it was only more recently where things kind of seemed like, outside of just, these, other health issues and stuff, things were kind of, chilled out, but at this point, that's not really the case anymore. I also suspect you developed MS from chemical exposure, because it doesn't run in the family. Yeah, I guarantee you that, like, that's probably it, environmental aspects. And for my mom, I know at least to some extent it probably is something that runs in the family, because her dad had brain cancer, but only once. So it's like, pretty sure that shit runs in my fucking line. Don't know about my dad's side. I mean, he's 60 and hasn't really had any, cancer scares on his side at all. At least not that we know of, so, at least, there's that, so I guess I got a little boost. Those days as camp technician was best paid days. I bet. I mean, it's not like the job, is bad or anything, but, like, I mean, it's something that, needs to have better protections and, precautions, especially, when it comes to that line of work. And there are. I mean, because that's kind of like the thing about, like regulations and working conditions and safety and stuff. Like, those laws are always written in the blood of, somebody else. I mean, that's kind of the sad fact about it. Every piece of regulation's been written and penned by, the victims of the blood of, people that were, fucked over the fact that those weren't there in the first place. Come when you can. Yeah, I'll just give you a call when I'm on break or something. Mr. When he was a head tech at the Legends of Huntsville golf course. See, well, I mean, I'm assuming that's like, one of those more prestigious, like, kind of more upper end, like, bougie golf courses. It's probably why he got such good pay. And then, anyways, man. Hopefully your day at work ends up being good. Bushy as fuck. Not surprised. Off to work. Yeah, I got about another hour and a half. Well, yeah, you know, in between that. Like an hour to like an hour and a half. Technically scheduled at 3:30, but I usually kind of go in between 3 and 3:30 myself. Matches on the golf course itself. Oh my god, that's fucking ridiculous. That is genuinely very fucking ridiculous. The boss employed a bunch of illegals for cheaper pay. Of course he did. I mean, honestly, of course. Not that fucking surprised. Except Dad, who had to have chem training for him. Yeah, because he needed to at least have somebody who had actual, like, official business doing what the fuck they're doing. You know, and actually is qualified so they can make sure that everyone else is doing their job. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to undermine the, you know, illegal workers. I mean, if anything, I'd rather, you know, those workers get better pay. Oh, really? He pushed for them to unionize, and that's why he got fired? Wow. So he kind of understood, you know, the value of their labor too. So, damn. Of course he got fired for that shit. Wow. Sorry, agitating for, you know, better conditions for them just as much as for his own self. And he was like, nah, I don't like the sound of this white boy over here trying to unionize these coloreds here now. They're meant to be my illegal laborers. I can't have them asking for more pay and shit. That's the point. Fucking Cracker Barrel motherfucker. Whoever the fucking boss man was. I'm assuming he's just like some fat Colonel Sanders looking Cracker Barrel Jack motherfucker. He made good friends with a lot of Mexicans. A few of them actually came to his funeral. Right on, man. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, you might not necessarily think about it, but that's kind of what solidarity looks like, you know, at least when it comes to, like, more personal, like, you know, worker connections. I mean, I went to one of my coworkers' funerals before, yeah, because I was, you know, friends with him, you know, and, you know, a lot of us were friends with him, you know, so it's just like, I mean, you know, like, when you hear about shit like that, especially if someone you were really close with at work, I mean, you know, it only makes sense. And also, I mean, I've done that twice, actually, now I just realized. I did that with one of my coworkers, and then someone I really wish I was more closer as a friend with that, you know, worked at the gas station at work. And because that one fucking took me by surprise, because I was like, I wonder, you know, because I was always wondering, like, oh, I wonder where he went, and blah, blah, blah. You know, because I knew he was always in the neighborhood. Like, if he wasn't working, he was literally just walking around the neighborhood or riding a skateboard. Like, he was always around town. And, like, straight up, like, I mean, you know, knowing that, like, how relatable he was, especially to me, it just kind of really fucking kind of put myself in a reality check in a way. So I honestly, in a lot of ways, I've been more adamant about trying to go do shit and meet people and stuff like that, because, like, I mean, as weird as it thinks, I mean, you know, Robert, the last guy that passed, he, you know, he is basically me in a way. Like, small town, born and raised type of kid, you know, lived the same house pretty much most of his life. That's me. You know, a nerd, a dork, likes, you know, sci-fi shit. He was big in Star Wars and stuff. You know, I'm big into my sci-fi and shit, including Star Wars. You know, like, and, you know, really big into things like Indiana. So, like, the dude really, like, was very, like, similar in, like, interests, you know, more than I thought. And I was like, man, I didn't end up becoming more closer to him as a friend. It's like, motherfucker, man. These Stubbs buddies. Hell yeah. I mean, that's how you know that, like, someone's a decent person or shit. Because, I mean, there's been plenty of times I've had people stand up for me, and I've stood up for other people and shit. Side story, the boss man made Dad take part of a lawnmower and move upstairs, and it was like 300 plus pounds, and Dad dropped it on himself 6 months before he got fired. Wow. So purposely doing unsafe work too, and basically purposely putting the guy at jeopardy and at risk. Wow. Go fucking figure. Fuck scumbag bosses like that, dude. Fucking old ass prick piece of shit. Guarantee he probably has some big bougie ass Land Rover or some shit. Or like a Humvee or something. Was just out of hospital when he got fired. So he got fired while he was on medical leave. So while he was out on medical leave, they fired him. Basically. And they didn't really announce it and make it official until he was out of hospital, so he can't sue for, improper, firing and shit. Or just, cause, cause, there could have easily been a lawsuit right there, but I'm pretty sure they did that just because, oh, you're not on medical leave anymore, but hey, you're fired. A state senator, too? Of course he was, because I guarantee you the state senator made frequent visits to that fucking place. It's probably his little fucking, mini Mar-a-Lago, where he goes golfing all the time. I guarantee it. Who I suspect is what stopped Mom from suing. Because sadly, she probably realized that they had way more fucking money than she did, and, unfortunately, you can't fight that. If you're a poor working class Joe. Sadly. That's what's fucked about it. They have all the money in the world to have top lawyers and shit fight, pretty much any and every step of the way for shit like this, like what we're talking about. And yet, if we try to do the same thing backwards, back up to their ass, then Lord forbid on that one. They'll fucking bankrupt you. Which, of course, is just fucking bullshit. I mean, there needs to be a lot more, heavy investment into, public prosecutors and public defendants and shit. Because there needs to be more accessibility and, more of a genuine profession and, for, people who can't afford, lawyers or anything to actually at least have accessibility to something like-minded. Or at least something akin to it. I mean, there really needs to be, because, the fact that it's just, damn near impossible to have any form of challenge or ability to, fight back against, a corporate entity like that. I mean, it's one of those things where they always tell you, if the Miranda rights are right, or whatever, right? Where it's oh, hey, if you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you, and whatever. It's well, why not just expand that across the fucking board? Just be hey, if you can't afford one while you're going through, some court process, then fucking, let's have a process where, you can have one available. Or at least have one at, a reduced rate or something. I mean, fuck. I imagine there could easily be something set up. But, nope. Can't have nice things here. Because I feel honestly, people would probably be more, willing to at least, try to fight back for their own rights or for their own, interests and shit, at least in court, if they had more of an ability and a means to do so. And if there was an expandment and investment into that type of shit, I mean, that would generally help, I think, people have more of an opportunity to fight back, against, potential corporate interests or potential, corruption or backstabbery bullshit. Whether as a customer, as an employee, or a worker, or whatever, or as a contractor, or anything else besides. I mean, that includes people who happen to be illegal or not, citizens or not. I mean, anyone should be able to have that opportunity. Check this score in a minute, I'm going to show you the ledges. Got some ledges. Damn, this is some official Google search shit. Well, I guess it's... It's Country Club. Don't show my location, fuck you. Well, there's a place called Union Hill in fucking Alabama. That's kind of cool. That's how bougie it'd be. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a few country clubs up here. Actually, there's one country club that's technically more of like kind of a people's country club. Here, actually, I can show you what that is. I just have to go all the way to fucking Portland. Okay, there we go. Alright, zoomed a little too far out. Alright, where is it? I know it's like... Oh, here it is. I already found it. Or is this the one that I'm thinking of? Oh no, here we go. Oh, this is it. So there's actually two that are nearby. So this is the one that I've been to before. This one's like not really it doesn't say country club because it's not really a country club. But, you know, it's more easily accessible to go to. It's right off the Max station too. It's actually a pretty cool little spot. It's, you know, a small, decent little course, you know, and then also there's like driving fields, so if you want to do some drives, it's right here on this side. It's honestly a nice little spot. And then there's another one way here, Waverly Country Club. I've been here once or twice, and it's definitely more spendy, but it's not really that bougie. It's mostly just like the more upper class, like Selwood people, or fucking like people from, you know, on the west side over here. Like, you know, Lake-O, stuff like that. So, I mean, you know, it's, you know, there'll be some more bougie people there, but while Westmoreland or the Eastmoreland Park is more or less just like, you know, just a chill spot. Or lay back. Can you do a quick karaoke? My voice is not really ready for that right now. We're doing a scooter Walmart called Portland Portlands. While it's some hick in fucking Alabama at a Walmart. That's, man, that bitch wouldn't be able to afford a Walmart up here. I mean, he wouldn't be, like, straight up, like, that guy wouldn't be able to afford to shop at a Portland Walmart up here. So, like, bitch, please. My god, dude, that's just ridiculous. And what the fuck did I just do? What just happened? Oi! Oh my good lord, Jesus fucking Christ. There we go. Fucking YouTube being dumb. Kyle's on fire today. Glinski. What's the upload today? What do we got? Oh, well, yeah, I could see what's going on here. Yeah, it does look like he's actually kind of on fire a little bit. Oh, wait, there is something interesting. Biden raises construction worker pay, but it says good. And that's what I see right here. Good. ... Good. So, is this like a mixture of something good, but also something horrible at the same time? I guess, you know, we'll have to check this out for sure. Yeah, you know, fuck it, let's just do it. Guts neoliberal rules. Oh, so is this actually generally something good for once? Wait a minute. Is there actually finally something that I could say, like, oh, wow, Biden at least did something decent? Even though it should be more across the board. Like, this should be more just like raises worker pay. Just full stop. Biden changed a neoliberal rule. Well, okay, Kyle says guts, but you're saying he changed it. Okay, well, let's check it out. I gotta do this because YouTube's dumb. And this is like the... Okay, we can just take it out too. Okay, never mind. Will you full screen for me, baby? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let's check it out. Let's see what this is all about.
Man, I like to give you lovely people some good news. Because you know what? Every now and then...
Is Kyle's fucking goatee gray? Hold on.
Every now and then...
Let's have him look right in.
People some good news.
Right here. Oh my god, it is! Holy shit, his facial hair is kind of gray. Dude, look at that. Dude, you can't tell me there's, some gray going on. Dude, oh my god, look at his fucking side beard right there, dude. There is some straight gray going on. Bro, he's got like that fucking, silver, like, shade going in there, dude. Kyle's getting old. Dude, he is, but he's kind of getting like some silver fox shit going on. Like, hey, how you doing there, buddy? How you doing? It's like, whoa. It's like he's actually kind of rocking it, honestly. I mean, now I think I've kind of warmed up to his fucking ridiculous bleach hair. And actually, even he's kind of like, worked it up a little bit. Like, he's definitely changed up his hair a little. Outside of just the bleachness. Calls me overly horny. I'm not being overly horny. I'm just saying, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm making some flirtatious comments, but I ain't like, going overt horn mode like you are.
You know what? Every now and then, we get some good news. And I'm nothing but a vessel for reality. That's what my job is here. So I'm not what we call a narrative humper, which is I have, one narrative and I keep going back to it and pointing it out over and over. No. I embrace the nuance.
I mean, you do, but at least it's like, the embracement of, the nuance, thing over and over again. Your narrative is you repeating reality over and over again into people's skulls. I mean, you do. You're basically a robot when it comes to, repeating the talking points, which are good ones, actually. I mean, it's good to actually... I like Kyle for that. I give an exception for him being kind of like a bot a little bit about just repeating, things a lot during his, shows and stuff. That's why I don't usually watch, the full video, because I pretty much have an idea what he's going to say, because it repeats it a lot. I mean, but at least for him, that's kind of a good thing, because that's kind of how I got, to be a leftist myself, is because he kept, ingraining that shit in my fucking head, and, realizing, oh, yeah, that is good shit. Yeah, good stuff. And realizing, the just facts of the reality when it comes to stuff like that. So I can at least grant Kyle a pass with that. He ain't like a Marco Bot Rubio or fucking some newscaster fuckwad that, is just pushing some dumb narrative, because they're making money off of it.
I embrace the fact that the world is messy and complicated, and sometimes you get horrendous news and sometimes you get good news. Well, today, like I said, I have great news for you. So this is in the American Prospect, which, by the way, is a phenomenal outlet. You should definitely check it out. It's David Dayen's outlet. Look at this. Biden administration to restore labor rule gutted in the 1980s.
So, he's restoring rules that Reagan fucking put in. Wait, really? So, he's actually reversing Reaganomics to an extent. Okay, that's genuinely based. Okay, that's genuinely based. Fuck Reagan, he's a scumfuck, a lot of the reason why we're in this predicament now is because of that scumbag parasite, so, yeah, this is generally based, reverse his fucking, shit that he did, fuck yeah, that's actually good, alright, I guess I have a thing, he took out some of Reagan's policies, a little bit, at least when it came to labor rules.
To reverse the neoliberal era gutting of...
I wish he did that more so, and across the board or more often, but yeah, I'll take it.
That stopped contractors from bidding down wages in federal procurement. So in other words, and they'll go on, to explain this in more detail, Jimmy Carter and then Ronald Reagan in the 1980s, it was the full neoliberalization of the government. It was full, embrace the free market, embrace deregulation, embrace low taxes on the rich. And prior to that, we had the New Deal era.
Embrace union busting and the whole shebang, and embrace, revocation of labor laws and stuff like that, and labor regulations. The 80s was basically just the embracement of just unfettered capitalism. It's why I say, a lot of the reason why we're in the predicament as we are now is because even though we were still a pretty capitalistic society prior to that, I mean, there was at least some sort of a leash, to an extent, that kind of kept it somewhat in check. And during the 80s, like, whatever leash there was, like, it was like some old, like rotting away, like, leather leash, and then, like, they moistened it up a little bit, and it just snapped, because of that shit. Because they're like, let's gut this, already broken leash, like, just let it be totally unfeathered. And it's been like that since. So it's like, knowing to at least, like, we're kind of at least trying to put, like, the collar and leash back on it, at least a little bit. It's at least a start. I mean, and like I said, it really needs to go way more across the board, considering Biden and all of his shit, doing more, like, the Willow Project and doing, like, more oil drilling and all this other shit. He's still not good. But at least there's something I can at least look at and be like, alright, here's at least a good thing. At least there's technically two. The NLRB, which is being a lot more pro-worker in comparison in the past, like, 10 to 20 years. And also being more, at least, and at least, doing this. Like, you raise federal worker pay, and also now with this. So, I mean, he gives breadcrumbs here and there, but at least for me, it's not necessarily enough. Like, this doesn't change my mind about him, really, but at least it does give me something to be like, alright, here's a good thing.
Where that was not the idea. During the New Deal era, it was like the government has a role in the economy. The government should be the spender.
Like, for me, this would be like, something as a foundation to help start me getting convinced, to maybe potentially see him as, reductive, or at least harm reductive. But that's the thing. It's a foundation. Like, I'm not going to be convinced just with this.
Or should provide people with jobs. We should tax the
You're
wealthy.
adamant about these kitties. God damn it, fine.
Programs. We should regulate business to make sure they don't abuse the public. And so Biden is looking at this, and he's going, okay, this rule doesn't make any sense. I want workers to get paid more, so let's go ahead and change this rule so they get paid more. President Joe Biden is set to restore a New Deal labor rule in what could be the most significant change to construction worker pay since the rule was gutted in the 1980s. Biden already signed project labor agreements, which basically...
God damn it, really? Come on. Full screen. Oh, you bitch. Look what you did, Venom. You made it so it went full screen again. There we go.
Raises the pay of about 200,000 construction workers who have a contract with the federal government. That was already one of his more pro-labor things that he did. That was definitely a step in the right direction. Now, he's also done things that were not good. Like, for example, he stabbed the railroad union in the back. Everybody remembers that. And so, this is the case with Joe Biden. We see it time and time again. He's got one foot solidly in that neoliberal era, and then he's got one toe slightly dipped back in the New Deal era. He's sort of like riding the line, and his governance has really shown that. There's been many things which are, part and parcel with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan and those types. But then every now and then he gives you a little sprinkle, a little bit of hope, with some genuinely social democratic reform. They say the Department of...
And stuff that at least, will revoke some of, like, Reaganomic policies and stuff. I mean, that's the thing. If, this is what would honestly generally make me a little bit more, like, willing to vote for Biden, potentially. It's if he just didn't write the fucking line. Like, either just, like, go all in on one or the other. Like, and I'd rather you go all in on the more pro-labor side of things, obviously. Because even if there was all this other bullshit, I mean, at least then there will be a solid fucking thing to be like, alright, I mean, there's at least something he's looking out, when it comes to us. But, no, I mean, not really. I mean, well, barely. Like, he has this, like, toe, maybe a few, toes, dipped into that water, but not that much. I mean, it's like, that's what's annoying. That's what I don't like about his administration, especially, is if it's, like, not doddering or do nothing, it's like this weird ride-the-line bullshit. Where it's like, yeah, we got half our foot in neoliberal camp and, like, a couple toes in the fucking, camp of, like, being pro the people or pro-worker and shit. It's just like... Can we just have our feet in the water of, like, being for the people a little bit, even if you are gonna stick your toes into the more corporate neoliberal side of things and shit? Because I get the whole whatever the fuck, you neoliberal cocksucker, but at least give us more, like, Jesus. That's what I hate about neoliberalism. It's like, the best it does is shit like this. Like, it'll sprinkle in some stuff where it's like, okay, cool, can we do more? But then, like, like, when something more pinnacle and more, like, of a fulcrum comes in, like the railroad strike, or potential railroad strike that would have happened, you'll stab him in the back. Because that would rock the boat, and that ain't maintaining the status quo. Shit like this, though, doesn't rock the boat, really. I mean, it does a little bit, but not enough to really make a huge impact. Doesn't make enough waves. So, I mean, it's like, that's kind of the issue. And that's why, you know, it's really a fucking problem for me to just be like, oh yeah, let me just vote for him. Vote blue no matter who. It's like, well, gotta give me something to vote for. At least this is something, but not nowhere near fucking enough. Like I said, it's like a foundation to help maybe start getting me convinced. I mean, you gotta have like some other layers and other levels of shit here, but there really isn't. It's like another bit of the foundation. Like, we're still not even halfway done building the foundation for myself, at least when it comes to trying to convince me.
Preparing to issue a final rule tomorrow on the Davis-Bacon Act, which sets a wage floor for construction workers on public works projects. Davis-Bacon is often known as a prevailing wage, as it refers to the going rate for laborers in a given area. The change could raise the salaries of the lowest paid workers on infrastructure, ranging from highways and bridges to battery plants, hydrogen production facilities, and semiconductor fabs. If upheld in court, it would be a step towards shrinking the wage gap between northern states, which have generally higher worker protections, and the southern and southwest, where contractors are more hostile to unions and reliant on a migrant workforce. The new rule is expected to particularly benefit workers in states like Texas, one of the deadliest places for construction workers, and other states lacking their own prevailing wage laws. At the same time, you have Governor Greg Abbott signing a law which bans mandatory water breaks for construction workers working,
which is gonna, and already has killed people.
Triple digit.
Like, Greg Abbott is just openly saying, let the people die. Like, I mean, that's essentially is what he's saying. He is a fascist scum pig. Like, I mean, he's pretty much like, I mean, he, like, him and fucking DeSantis are like some of the biggest scum fuck governors to ever exist, dude. Like, at least in our modern times. Like, I don't even think I'm being hyperbolic. Like, because both of them are just like, yes, let the people suffer and die. Like, that's basically their policy and their governance in a fucking nutshell. I mean, especially as of late. I mean, it's like, I mean, you know, it's like, basically at this point, you know, it's like, like, it's like, give me a reason to not go revolutionary TJ Greg Abbott talk. Because, at this point, you gotta give me a reason not to. Who's worse, Abbott or DeSantis? Probably DeSantis, just on the virtue that he's trying to run for president. I mean, but honestly, despite that, probably Abbott, just because he's pushing more overt policies that are just, like, overtly killing people, and plus he got the Rio Grande with those fucking, like, razor wire buzzsaw buoys and all that other shit. So, I mean, I think just as a governor, for governor-wise, I think Abbott's worse, just because he's not utterly, totally fixated on woke shit. So he's doing other things as well that are deadly and harmful to the people and the populace, while DeSantis is literally fixated on nothing but woke. So, I mean, they're both generally fucking depraved, parasitical fucking scumfucks and all that shit. But, I mean, like, at the end of the day, I would argue that Abbott, as a governor, is probably worse. You know, not by much, but arguably worse.
Biden's going, well, how about no on that, but also we're going to raise their pay. We're going to mandate higher pay for these low-paid construction workers. The rule, which will be finalized by Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su, is expected to be immediately challenged, of course. The Associated Builders and Contractors, ABC, a trade group that fights unionization, could I
don't think Cuba has many rightoids left that have not fled. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know too much about the specifics on all that. I mean, you do know that, I mean, obviously a lot of them have had kids and probably have, you know, got children, and, you know, and I'm assuming they probably got similar ideas passed down. And also, just because, you know, you have, like, you know, specifically, like, Cuban nationals / like, Cuban immigrants and stuff, I mean, there aren't necessarily, like, older, you know, Cubans aren't necessarily the only ones that are, like, socially conservative and stuff like that. I mean, you know, there's also a lot of, you know, like, other, you know, older, you know, Latino groups and stuff, like, for, you know, that are Hispanic, that also are like that. Especially considering a lot of the more social, conservative, like, Catholic bent. I mean, there's certainly, you know, a lot of it, and it does kind of bleed into the youth to an extent, but nowhere near as much. I mean, it is kind of across the board that youth are nowhere near as socially conservative into their more elder counterparts. And that really, you know, transcends, you know, demographics in a lot of ways. Not always, but a lot. It's more frequent than not. It's like that in the U.S., it's like that in Latin America, it's like that in Europe. I mean, it's kind of like that across the board for the most part. I mean, outside of specifically, like, certain regions. But a lot of that's just, I think, due to, lack of accessibility to things like the internet, social media, and stuff like that. Because if you have access to that, you have more access to information, and that makes it more easier to potentially be more, at least more socially liberal. Which, I mean, especially even more authoritarian areas like in Iran or even in Saudi Arabia, I mean, if we actually looked at the true demographical, like, kind of brass tacks of people's, like, ideologies and stuff, I'm sure it would also be the same fucking thing. But it's just a lot more harder to be more open about what you believe in, places like that. Unless you do a full fucking revolution like Iran was doing. I don't even know if, like, that shit's still going on or not, but I mean, it seems like a lot of that kind of died down, and from what I understand, I know Iran's government's actually starting to kind of, like, go back to their fucking policies and shit now. So I hope the people over there just start rising up again and start, fucking throwing more Molotovs and all that shit, because, I mean, they had some fucking momentum. Did I ever tell you Mom was looking into China for us at one point? Why in the fuck would she... Wait, really? Why in the fuck would she want to go there? Why did she ever... What? We'd make enough to live in a nice apartment there? I'm sure, but why? That is just... Okay. Well, that's the most oddest curveball I think I've heard, like, from her. Okay. Weird. I mean, even I wouldn't necessarily want to live in China or, like, visit there personally. I mean, I would like to someday maybe visit China, but not right now. Hell no. I mean, they gotta reform a lot of their shit first. Like, at least, for their government. I mean, I'm sure if I, just mind my P's and Q's, so to speak, and just, like, just kind of just did my own thing, I mean, I'm sure I'd be alright. And the thing is, like, I mean, I'm sure just as some average tourist, I'm sure I'd be just fine. It's just more or less about, like, whatever I might have said about China, which is not positive. I mean, it's more mixed than anything, but it's definitely more bent on negative than positive. Where's that anarchist fire? Liberal ignore? Wait, what do you mean? What? I said I'd like, to fucking visit there, but, their government needs to change, which that includes, burning down their fucking authoritarian, deep state fucking, like, surveillance, like, shithole, I mean, come on. It's like, really? That anarchist fire's fucking in there, bro. I mean, don't be fucking, like, trying to downplay my shit. Don't be trying to challenge me. Don't be putting my shit on, on blast like that. There's gas now. I was checking one of those.
As soon as this week, the DOL could be forced, as Department of Labor, could be forced to defend the rule for years in court. Another recent rule change was litigated for over a decade. We're always going to keep coming back to this when we talk about the way our system works. If you don't address the judicial tyrants, we will forever be fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, that's just another fucking problem with this. Like, I mean, I feel like a lot of this is going to be on pause because it's going to be challenged in court by a lot of right-wing dumb fucks. And this is one thing where Biden could also potentially get, like, a dub on, and be like, hey, here's at least something you could be doing. Like, stack the fucking courts. Not just Supreme Court, but, like, all the courts. Or just, like, like, do some executive orders and change the shit up a little bit. Change the rules. Like, I mean, there's things that he could do on this front, too. But doesn't.
Judicial tyrants are the Federalist Society goons who fully believe in this neoliberal era. They've drunk the Kool-Aid. They believe in trickle-down.
They're not really the neoliberals, Kyle. That's kind of where you're wrong. The Federalist Society are, like, far-right extremists, like, and shit. Like, straight up. Like, I mean, they are utter fucking extremists, when it comes to, like, who they are. I'd argue they're fucking fascists, frankly. Like, I mean, they are, like, no fucking stranger to, pushing anything that is far right, because, like, that's their whole premise. Unfettered capitalism and utter deregulation, and pushing and establishing, a type of order of, like, social conservative Christian ideas within, via the courts. Because they know that's how they can take over, governance. At least that's the Federalist Society strategy, is take over the government via the courts. which they've been, at this point, fairly successful in. Like, and they've gotten away with it, and I think in some part because they, it really have just, undermined the real threat. They're not neoliberal, they're fucking fascistic. I mean, like, that'd be my critique of it. Smoke if you got him, and smoke him if you got him. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, shoot him if you got him, and smoke him if you got him. Federal Appeals Court, get out of here, you fucking cookie shit. There we go. Federal Appeals Court strikes down law prohibiting users of illegal drugs from possessing firearms. Strikes down. Struck down decades-old law barring users of illegal drugs from possessing firearms. After Supreme Court cleared away last year for re-examine national gun law. That changed. I actually think this is not a bad idea. Like, I mean, I'd argue that at least when it comes to specifically, like, like certain drugs and shit, I mean, I think it can easily be, addressed more like as a case-by-case type of scenario. Like, does it play as a variable to them owning one? Because, I think it even says here, in short, in the history of tradition may support some lives and intoxicated person right to carry a weapon, but it's not justified to some of its past drug usage. Which so basically it's saying it here too, to an extent. Maybe more vaguely, but yeah. Because, there's obviously limits to when it comes to someone who's, probably not sober, as there should be. But just because maybe in the past, or maybe do regular use drugs and, stuff like that, that doesn't necessarily mean that might potentially impact their usage of a firearm and stuff, because look at me. Like, it does it for me. And, like, because I don't make it a fucking problem with that. Because also not an idiot. Which I think most people are like that. I mean, you get a lot of people that, drink beer, smoke weed, stuff like that, but got, like, a gun or two and shit, and they don't make it an issue. Ronald Reagan appointee judge wrote for the panel. Oh my god. Ugh. Yeah, whatever. And I honestly think, this, the law, probably predominantly hit people who were, like, marijuana smokers more so than not. You know what I mean? So, I'd argue this is definitely good. Oh, yeah, right here. Yeah, I see. Frequent use of marijuana. So, been arrested in 2012. Law enforcement searched his car, stopped, found marijuana butts, and 2 loaded firearms. The officers did not administer a drug test, denied stop, but Daniels admitted that he was frequent user of marijuana. Which, at that time, when he was arrested, he probably wasn't, high or nothing. He probably just had some, just marijuana joint butts. You know what I mean? And it's just like, like, that doesn't necessarily mean the dude was high, obviously. And if they didn't do a drug test to see if he was or not, then they can't even fucking prove it. And if he had 2 little firearms, and, well, they didn't say they were illegal weapons, so he probably had them legally, and they're his. And there's nothing inherently illegal about that. So I guess that's it. I guess so. But, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think, they're really, this, I think, is at least a step in the right direction. I think, eventually, maybe down the line, it could be looked at again, to maybe have some more specific nuance to it. But for the most part, I think this is actually, generally, I think, somewhat of a good step. Because I do think, there really needs to be kind of an evaluation about how we look at, gun regulations and stuff. And luckily, I think people are obviously way more so about, like, trying to look at that. I mean, like, and for me, I do think sometimes I think, people try to maybe, like, overreach a little bit, and, like, trying to do, like, full bans, stuff like that. And then, I think people, also maybe go a little too loose, where it's like, just background checks and that's it. That's all you need. Which, obviously, if that's the case, then a lot of this problem wouldn't be an issue now, would it, So, it certainly is, like, something that, like, we definitely need to, like, have, a certain level of restriction, but at the same time, I think we can also do that without necessarily prohibiting, someone who, may or may not want one, for whatever reason, to have one. Obviously, there just needs to be some firewalls and some checks and balances in place, and, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, they're, just because someone happens to have used marijuana or drinks occasionally, whatever the fuck idea, like, you know, whatever, you know, it's like, I don't think that should really mean, you know, like, or dictate, you know, one way or another if you should have a firearm or not. I mean, honestly. I mean, if you're like, you know, if you have like a history of being like a violent alcoholic, I mean, I generally would think that would, you know, be a variable for sure. But, you know, if you're someone like me that, you know, drinks, you know, sometimes like a beer or two and shit like that, but it ain't a problem, then, you know, someone like me, you know, could be totally fine with it. You know, but obviously there could be someone else that may potentially be, you know, similar lifestyle, but when they, you know, have a couple drinks in them, they suddenly become pretty erratic and violent and stuff. And that person, I don't know, probably not a good idea to have, you know, when it comes to owning, you know, a firearm or something. But, you know, it's why, you know, I think in a lot of ways it can be done in a case by case, but that's why there needs to be evaluations and training, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, like, I think especially there needs to be, like, a wait period and, like, a training process during that wait period. Because, honestly, a lot of, like, you know, a lot of the times, you know, there is, you know, when it comes to, you know, like, when it comes to, like, these shootings and shit, a lot of them are out of, like, emotional impulse in a lot of ways. And obviously, due to the easy accessibility of firearms and stuff, I mean, it's really easy to just go grab a gun and then, you know, commit a crime out of just fucking emotional impulse and shit. Because you're, you know, all fucking pissed off and you're ready to fucking go and shit, you know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, to have a wait period and stuff and to have to wait a while, you know, kind of, you know, denies that in a lot of ways. And it doesn't necessarily, like, stop all of it, but at least makes it a lot more fucking harder for someone who even might be more calculative about it, you know, making a plan about all that shit. I mean, at a certain point, they're gonna be, you know, there's gonna be shit that's gonna be slipping through the cracks, you know, when they're trying to pass, and, you know, they might not necessarily be able to qualify anyway. Especially if they're, like, you know, trying to, like, fucking, you know, do some sort of, like, you know, massive shooting or some shit. I mean, something's definitely gonna slip. And plus, you know, I do think, at least to a certain extent, looking at, like, online, you know, records about, you know, what they may have said and shit, you know, might not necessarily be a bad idea either. So, against being a drunk gun owner, there isn't. I mean, but if you're caught doing a crime with that fucking gun, like a negligent discharge, you know, or whatever the fuck, then, you know, I think that should play a major role, probably, when it comes to your future ownership of something like that. Your video call was credible. Did you have a different phone back then? Yeah, most likely. But also, I mean, it also might just be, like, on YouTube side of things, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, bit rates and shit. I don't fucking know. A few idiots look down a barrel and blow themselves away. That's not a gun manufacturer's fault. Well, it's not. It's the fucking idiot's dumbass fault, because it should be ingrained to you that you don't look down the barrel of a fucking gun, no matter what. If you got something going on in the barrel, you look through the fucking bolt/receiver area. Like, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, my AK, like, if I want to look down the barrel, I open the bolt like this and I look down. And if there's something there, like, because if there's anything going to be stuck in the barrel, chances are it's going to be, like, right where the bullet will be. You know, like in the chamber itself. Like, so there's no reason to be looking down the fucking barrel. Ever. And if you really need, you know, to dislodge something that might be more deeper in the barrel, you get a barrel rod. And then you stick it down there and try to fucking shove it out. So, you don't fuck with it by looking down the damn thing. Unless you're a dumbass. At that point, then I don't think you should have a gun, because you would be a fucking idiot. Unless you can at least be trained and proven and ingrained in that shit in your head enough to where you don't actually do it anymore, or aren't liable to do it. I've actually had to stop my friends from doing that once. Like, it's like, hey, I think it might be jammed, and they'll do this, and I'll be like, I see what you're about to do, that, you know, I'll just be like, nope. It's like, don't do that, and I'll be like, hey, just do this, and if you can't get the, you know, because there's been some times where even the bolt will kind of be jammed, so I'll just take the dust cover off and just kind of show them, like, look, since it's not doing that, here's what you do. Because Kalashnikov can handle it, she tough bitch. Boom! You know, just start smacking it on the ground, you know, from the butt. And eventually that bolt's going to go back, or whatever's stuck there is going to get dislodged, and, you know, you're good to go. I mean, it's Kalashnikov, she could take it, she's strong bitch. She loves a little beating. Oh shit, okay, I didn't even realize shit was going. If everyone got excellent depth switch sword. Yeah, if everyone did, yeah. See, like, you know, that's the difference between me being programmed and some random, like, homosexual freak. Like, I definitely think not everyone should own one, because there'd be plenty of people that'd be too fucking stupid. Or just too, you know, impulsive and want to hurt somebody or themselves or something. But my cool uncle's a Vietnam vet, smoke both sides, little shotgun. Well, I mean, well, that was like what Vietnam vets did back in the day. Yeah, they would like load a bowl and they're fucking like, you know, they'll take the bolt out and like load a fat bowl like right at the, you know, where, you know, the shell will be, you know, loaded into the barrel in the chamber and literally just fucking smoke it and then like cover up the entire bolt and smoke for the barrel. I mean, they would have the weapon disassembled at least enough so it wouldn't be, it'd basically just be pipe. That's just huge. Like, there wouldn't be a risk of anything happening at that point. We just grew openly there? Well, yeah, it's native in the region. I mean, well, duh. I mean, I imagine they probably were just fucking, you know... I imagine they were, you know, sometimes soldiers would be like, hey, man, there's some weed, dude, here. Start just picking it, and it's like, I know how to dry this stuff, man. I've been doing this back home. I mean, you know, there were some hippie-ass motherfuckers that were doing that shit. Just, you know, doing weed picking. Just being little, like, farmers on their patrols. Instead of doing anything. That'd be the most, like, that would be the most aggressive and intense form of, like, farming for weed ever. Weed Farmer Extreme Edition. Nom Edition. Jesus. Is it possible not run into that in horrors? Well, I'd be way more careful about that, because it was, I don't know how common it was, but I know that, the VC, were open about using, like, female soldiers and female guerrilla fighters to be, like, spies, you know, to essentially, like, get information out of officers or do assassinations and shit like that. I don't know how common it was, but I know, the North Vietnamese have done that before. And obviously they, you know, were consensual about it, because, I mean, they're like, how do we get some information out of the Americans? Ooh, I know, just fuck them. Because they'll be, you know, they'll be too stupid and, you know, likely, you know, say something that, you know, is probably vital information. But he did smoke hella weed. I mean, you know, like, I'm assuming, well, yeah, just because you're a nom doesn't mean that, like, every single soldier is fucking, you know, some random Vietnamese, you know, prostitute or some shit. I mean, you know, so I guarantee, I'd believe that. Probably a hella stoner, but it's like, I don't want to get an STD, nor do I want to accidentally get offed by some spy. Like, fuck that. Yeah, because the hookers knew where the money was. Well, that, yeah. I mean, that, and also they could probably get, like, you know, some cool trinket, you know, that soldier had. Like, you know, some Marlboros, maybe, like, some cool little fucking, you know, just, you know, random things, probably. I mean, yeah, I'm sure if it wasn't just money, it probably could be jewelry, some cool you know, some just random shit, probably. I mean, I guess it really did depend. I mean, if you're, like, you know, out in, like, an FOB and you got, like, you know, some Vietnamese prostitutes there and one of them might be a spy, they're probably looking for some information or a gun, you know, stuff like that. You know, or just, like, general information about how the base is set up so when they do an attack, they know where to hit. You know, random shit like that and stuff. So, I mean, I guess it always depends. Came back home, made 7 children and 5 baby mamas. 5 baby mamas? So he had all of his horse back home. Yeah, I don't need to fuck the ones over here. I got them all back home. Damn, dude. Wow. Grandpa was in Korea? No shit, dude. Man, during that barbecue last night, I got a gnarly fucking bug bite. Honestly, I know in the past, putting a flame over it actually kind of helps with the itchiness. Let's see if it does. Not enough to actually burn it, but just enough to kind of like just, do that. Actually, don't really itch that much anymore. I think that did actually improve it. It's a little, I don't know if it actually does help, but it's a little trick. If we get his paycheck, he gets so drunk he passes out, wake up just his uniform, and entire paycheck gone. Fuck, man. I can only imagine, because honestly, I've heard about some crazy fucking shit about Korea. And honestly, I've seen, like, those, like, Google Map, like, battle line things that are on YouTube that can be kind of popular every now and then. I saw one, like, an extended, like, 8-minute version of Korea, and honestly, it is, like, kind of fucking insane to kind of put it in perspective. Actually, here, let me kind of show one of them. Because, I mean, dead ass, like, it is, like, it honestly was kind of like some trench warfare type of combat, after a certain point. He did admit to mom on his deathbed, she not grandma. Oh, so he did actually, okay. Here, let me see if I can find the... Let's see if I can find the one I'm looking for. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is the one I saw. And this shit honestly kind of puts it into crazy perspective. Like, that ass. This is the war he fought in. But here, I'll just kind of skip around a little bit, but here, look at the most replay part. So, within, like, fucking months' time, like, this is how successful they were, when it came to North Korea. And this is just with the North Koreans without China even aiding them yet. I think the only thing of China is right there. And they're just in North Korea, so they haven't even really necessarily partook in the war at all yet. But this is when America started coming in. But you kind of see the rapid advancement, like how much, as soon as the United States, did some, a lot of majority mainland shit, look how much, suddenly just, like, reversed. And this was in a span of days, within, like, a couple weeks. Just all that. It's kind of crazy, like, how much, shit happened and how close we got within a couple months. And this is when China suddenly got into involvement. And then for the longest time, it just held right here. Like, it was basically there for years. Like, got moved up a little bit, but it just basically stayed there for most of the time. It, like, might move up ever so slightly, but it always basically stayed right there. After, that final push. MASH was based on this. Yep. MASH is actually, in my opinion, kind of a underrated show. The North had the full support of the Communist bloc. Well, South Korea had the support of NATO and the United States. I mean, yeah, you can kind of see it wasn't really fair. I mean, look at this. Look at the numbers. Just, and this is at the end of the war. Or at least once the stalemate happened. I guess technically the war isn't really over, at least between the two Koreas. They never really officially signed a peace treaty. But, I mean, look at the casualty rate. I mean, look at that. I mean, and also, they're rapidly increasing, too. They're just, like, fucking skyrocketing. North Korea fared better economically. Yeah, actually, North Korea, for a long time, was actually, had better living conditions and shit before South Korea. Because South Korea was basically a fascistic military junta for a long time. I mean, it eventually, started to get uplifted financially, economically, and started to not really become a military junta anymore. Yeah, it wasn't really till the 80s and 90s when, shit kind of started to reverse. Stalin was alive for this? Yep. Yeah, he was around to see all that. Yeah, because this is 1953. Right at the beginning of 53. I mean, and you could just see, like, how many fucking battalions and forces there are. I think every flag was meant to represent, like, 100,000 troops or something like that. I don't know how many specifically, but like every flag is meant to represent like a major battalion or like a division and shit like that. But you could just see how many are just congested in this tiny little region. And imagine the fucking bloodbath going on, dude. I mean, this shit would have been fucking insane. Constant waves of soldiers, Chinese, North Koreans, constant waves of Americans to South Korea, like, just back and fucking forth bloodfest. Just like, fuck, dude. I mean, no one really ever thinks about it, but this shit was fucking brutal. It probably had to at least be just as brutal as some of the Pacific campaigns during World War II, I'd argue. Probably just brutal Stalingrad in some places. Maybe not with the house-to-house fighting, but at least like with like cliffside, hillside, little mountainside regions, little valley passes and all this shit. Some dude hiding behind some fucking rock out of nowhere. I mean, I imagine that shit probably would have been fucking insane. And at least what we, some of the more crazier accounts of the Korean War, I mean, there is fucking insane shit. It's kind of why it's called Forgotten War, because no one really talks about, like, how much, that war was fucking nuts. And in a way, not really necessary, but just kind of fucking was. It just kind of was just a thing. It was just literally because, well, we don't got a major global enemy. Well, how about them fucking kill yourself? South Korea is kind of like Japan hyper-advanced. So Koreans will obviously benefit North Korea more than South Korea. Like it would East Germany, economically poor. Yeah. I mean, it would. I mean, and if anything, I think, honestly, that would just, like, uplift both Koreas in the long run. Because a lot of, like, the job growth and economic growth that, that would bring in a lot of potential commerce and shit. I mean, it would be a significant benefit, I'd imagine. I mean, it would definitely have a lot of growing pains for sure, but, I mean, I think in the long run, it would certainly be beneficial for the entire fucking region. I mean, it'd be kind of hard to argue against that, honestly. We're just getting a population boost and a lot of infrastructure building. But a lot of that comes economic growth and investment in infrastructural projects and all sorts of shit. I mean, it'll certainly take time, but, a lot of that comes with, benefit, to the whole state. And at that point, the unified state. Which obviously would benefit the North way more. I mean, ain't no doubt about that. I mean, it's kind of crazy how, like, historically, North Korea generally was kind of like a more of an economic powerhouse of the Koreas up until, like, the, more broader communist bloc started factionalize and, split apart. And then the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union. Because, I mean, no one really mentions it, but, like, or at least, where I guess in a lot of ways Americans tend to be so conditioned. America was just the biggest, best, badass motherfucker of the time, but there was generally, like, some, stuff that, the Eastern Bloc, kind of had some pride of in a little bit. I mean, last night I was mentioning about, like, the whole thing about space program and shit, with that a little bit, because, like, I mean, if anything, that is generally one thing that they, had every right to, take some pride in. I mean, they were beating us in space race up until we finally put someone on the moon, and we narrowly beat them anyway on that. Like, I mean, within a few weeks, like, we were kind of, like, rushing that shit a little bit. And it almost ended up being kind of disastrous for some of those missions. But nonetheless, hey, we had to kind of outflex them there real quick because they generally had, serious pride in that, and, it helped kind of bolster, a little sense of kind of a golden age, at least when it came to, more space exploration and investment. And in a way, put the log in America's ass to, like, hurry the fuck up. And despite, like, kind of contrary about, like, their housing, it actually wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't necessarily the most highest quality fucking shit in the world, but, I mean, for, like, at least, before they started having a lot of their economic strife and struggle during the 80s and then the 90s, like, a lot of their housing and stuff was actually, pretty decent. And in a lot of ways of how Red Vienna eventually kind of became more into full fruition was they kind of adopted some of their strategies about, like, mixed housing and mixed zoning infrastructure, when it comes to like or like mixed income type of housing as well. So, I mean, it kind of, it at least helped alleviate, a lot of issues when it came to, like, especially after World War II, when it came to, like, having to rebuild, like, swaths of towns and villages that were basically razed to the fucking ground because of the war and shit. So, I mean, that's why I say Office wasn't best. It was mainly meant to, like, do quick, like, revitalization infrastructure plans to at least, have them last for a long time, to, be easily maintainable and shit. Because they basically, like, built up these, apartments, like, basically, like, kind of prefabbed in a way. Like, because they would have, like, these, like layers or, like, little walls and shit that, were pretty much already constructed. And all you have to do is just, like, connect them, basically. And, like, kind of, like, build them out like little Lego bricks, essentially. And you can build them however long, wide, big, tall as you want, essentially. And, whenever you're done kind of completing your building, then you just, like, top the roof off of it, fill in the inside, and there you go. And it made it pretty easy to build up a lot of these different mixed zoning housings and shit like that, at the time. Obviously, like I said, once, they started having a lot of economic struggle during the 80s and the 90s, so a lot of the maintenance of these buildings and shit like that started to deteriorate. And, I mean, that's what we especially kind of know about a lot. But, I mean, at least for a while there, I mean, it actually generally was a really good idea. And honestly, I argue it still was, but, I mean, if you're struggling economically as a state and you can't really invest to maintain that shit, then, yeah, I mean, of course, eventually it's going to start deteriorating. It's kind of like how America's infrastructure is doing. Yeah. Like, have a stuff we heard about North Korea education history, we would have deep programs, folks. Like, tell children in South Korea they wouldn't marry their parents if they took over in America, would do worse. Maybe, but I don't know, like, how deeply true that is. I mean, I'm sure a lot of that stuff is probably taught, but, I mean, well, honestly, chances are it is, but, I mean, the idea of people being, like, gun-ho, like, believing in that shit, I mean, it's like an authoritarian little despot state at this point. So it's just like, it's one of those things where if you, like, actually, like, read their thoughts about how they truly felt about things, I'm sure they would probably feel way differently. Granted, I don't know, but, I mean, I highly doubt, there's a lot of people that generally believe that shit. I'm sure there are, but I just don't know how deep that type of shit is. It might be kind of like how, like, these American Christo-fascist types are. It's like, there are a lot of people that, probably believe some shit, but there aren't really that many, but those that are very fucking vocal when it comes to being gun-ho, like, diehards, about believing shit like that, you know what I mean? To pick up arms in an emergency. Well, yeah, I mean, they're basically, yeah, like, they pretty much have a similar, like, they have a similar kind of, like, social structure of, like, how Imperial Japan was, if you think about it. Like, you got, like, the Emperor, so to speak, which would be, Kim Jong-un at this point. And then it would, but, like, and then, like, a lot of the different, like, cultural, like, structure and hierarchical social structures pretty heavily bent, similarly. Not the same thing, obviously, but somewhat similarly. And there was also, like, especially when it comes to, like, the last stands. Like, I mean, Japan had the same thing when the threat of, America invading, was a strong possibility. Where it wasn't just, like, every man. It was also woman, child, like, anyone who is capable of even picking up a fucking pitchfork. Or even, like, a stick, basically. So, I mean, it was one of those things where it's a heavy, ingrainment where it's, like, utter, total fucking obedience. And that's also another thing, too, like, utter, total obedience to the state and to the leader. Instead of the emperor, it's dear leader. So, or whatever the fuck. Honestly, it is actually kind of interesting how, like, there's, kind of a similarity between the two. It's 3 time check. I know it's 3. I'm scheduled till 3:30. I'm just gonna go somewhere in between. You fucking fly? Oh, hell no. Oh, you wanna hang out, bitch? Oh, you wanna hang out, bitch? Alright, let's do it. Let's dance. Let's rodeo, motherfucker. Let's go. Oh, you ho. Come back. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, come on. Where'd you go? Did you just buzz by my hand? There you are, motherfucker. Come on. Come on. Oh, that's not it. That's a tiny fly, though. Here you go, bitch. He's gone rotten. Yeah, no shit. At this point, I only, like, watch TOT for the most part, outside just to fuck on him. Like, there was that one clip that we were kind of watching from early, like a couple days ago. That was, like, the one time I think, I kind of agreed with him after all these fucking years I've been watching him off and on just to roast their stupid ass. And even then, it's just more of kind of like, duh. And Jank was just going fucking unhinged reactionary mode about it. Not necessarily wrong, but obviously was just like, for people that, go off about the radical left and shit, I mean, looked a little unhinged myself there, my guy. Vosh being trash. Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's because, for some reason, like, Vosh wants to debate them, or whatever the fuck. And, they denied, the whole debate bro thing. And Jake was like, oh, I mean, what are we even going to talk about? I mean, it's like, I mean, what do you think there, bro? About you and your fucking takes. It's like, duh. Called her a retard. Well, because she kind of is. I think I know what you're talking about. I think I was watching that live when I was watching Vosh the other day. And, yeah, total fucking schmucks. Though, to be fair, like, I mean, there's a good reason why they won't debate him, though, because they would have nothing to gain out of it. Oh, you fucking hoe. Only Vosh would have, everything to gain from it. Did I get it? I heard a little smack, but I wasn't sure if I got it. Yeah, I don't know if I did, but I think I did. Okay, well. Little fucker.
I think you're garbage. I think you're...
Oh my god, it literally starts with this. Oh my god.
Vosh, I think you're garbage. I think you're trash.
I can't believe she would use the G slur against me.
Oh my god, dude, I love it. I did not kill you, you fucker. I heard you. You're up there? Oh! Oh, now you're up there. Fucker. Come on, come on. Oh, shit. Did I get you? Wait, what the hell? Hey, hey, Sukov, that was me. Oh my god. Hey! Zeus, no! Hey! Now Zukov's driving me nuts. Hey, alright, get over here, dog. Come on. Get over here. Quit being an asshole. If you want the fly, accept the fly. I'm not going to be Jeff Goldblum and embrace the fly. Zooks, come on! Come here, boy! Okay, well, fuck you too, dog. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come here. You want a treat? Come on. Come on. Come get that treat. Come get it. Come on. Yeah, fuck you too. Damn old hoe. It's too comfortable in there. I'm just gonna be nice and comfortable in here, fuck you. Goofy ass little dog. Oh, you! Oh, you fucking piece of shit. Are you honest? Oh, there you are. There you are, you little fuck. Come on. I am seriously on the warpath with the slide now. Little bastard. Seriously sick of these damn flies, dude. Oh, you're coming back now. Why is it whenever I start, you know, like moving on, you start coming back, you little shit? Alright, come on. Oh. Come on, come on. So fuck, dude. Tried a piece of Supreme Pizza and it was alright. One of the Supremes. And it was just simply alright. At least you're branching off. Exploring new things. At least there's that. At least got that going. Letting curiosity, you know, take over and try new different things. That's at least, you know, we can give you that. I'm sure that you're still bland as a peach tree, but I don't know if I even made sense, but I don't care. Small lady being home. Dude, I'm not at a risk of being homeless, dude. I mean, I'm not at, like, a risk of that. Things came to that. I don't think it would. I mean, honestly, I really highly doubt that would be the case. I hear this fucking fly, dude, but I cannot see it, and it's annoying me. Oh, there you are. Come on, fucker. Fucking fly. it's a casual about so I'm not done fat titties. Well, at that point, just fucking, like, at that point, you wouldn't have really any excuse when it comes to being up here. I mean, at that rate. At least then you'll be more, you know, closer to access to, you know, people that can at least, you know, help at that point. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, it ain't really over until, like, the fucking, like, you know, until the fat lady sings. No money for a ticket. Who says you pay for it? I mean, seriously, who said you'd pay for it? I mean, if it's just gonna be a one-way ticket, sure shit ain't gonna be that expensive. Plus, depending on what you would be able to take or what you couldn't take, I mean, you can sell what you aren't able to take and then make at least a little extra cheddar for the short period of time. Because honestly, I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a fucking deal. I mean, because if it really is something that, I think it might be a big concern, then just like make it, just at least try to have like some sort of a contingency plan with, with your mom about that or something. To be like, hey, I just, want to make sure that, I have some way to make sure I'm set up, in case, something happens. Because that's, something I'm definitely, need to think way more about, as of now. Especially all things considered for my fucking mom. So. Because, I mean, because there's, like, at least as it stands now, it wouldn't really necessarily be in a, stable situation by any means, when it comes to, like, dealing with my situation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that wouldn't be the case in the future, and at least, right now, I, still have the time for it. So it's just one of those things where it's like, well, no lollygagging. Help pay bills. Well, I wouldn't worry about that until at least you get yourself settled down. If, a situation like that came about. Like, in the meantime, you can at least just pitch in via this shit. And certainly, like, there's dispensaries, there's various different things they could do part-time that wouldn't be really that big of a deal and shit, that would be pretty easy going. So, but nonetheless, it's like one of those situations where it's like, figure it out when that time comes. Because as it stands right now, it's certainly got, like, a lot of other things that need to work out anyway. And at least, by the time, like, if, like, whenever that, time comes, for your situation, then, like, I mean, by that point, this place will certainly be a lot more, like, reformed out and redone and shit, to the point where it'll definitely be a lot more easier to just settle in, so. That's just one of the things, just within time, but, only got a certain amount of it. But, speaking of no lollygagging, I'll take this, load up this last bowl, and then, get myself to work and all that fun shit. When I showed up to work earlier, it looked like it was actually kind of busy, and it's like, ugh, I really hope it kind of slows down by the time I get there. I'm just hoping. I also hope I don't have to deal with no goddamn fucking skeleton crew. Because the evening shifts are always fucked like that, and it's like, so you fucking Alright, I'm fucking hunting your ass now. Fuck this shit. Where are you? Where are you, little asshole? Fucking bastard. Oh, there we are. bastard. And now it's back in here. Oh, yeah, whatever. Fucking little shit.
What?
These fucking flies.
Yeah, they're a pain, aren't they?
Well, one of them keeps buzzing around my ear. Mom ran up a card from the library, Lamau.
Yeah, at least they're not the great big annoying flies.
Well, yeah, there's a few of them that are kind of chunky.
No, I'm talking about the big,
Like horse flies?
blue bottle and green bottle fly.
Oh.
Horse flies bite.
Ugh. Well, yeah, I think fucking don't have to deal with those.
Very painfully, I might add.
I've heard.
Okay.
Fucking flies, man. So seriously done with their existence. Can't wait for the fucking summer to be over so we don't have to really deal with them that much. There's gonna be far few of them. Oh, that'd be nice. Because fuck are they annoying.
Up to the store.
Just have to make. Wait, what? Just gonna make pay, but I have. Because it does. Because I hate the way my mom does it. Oh. Well, that's fine. Well, I mean, like I said, we'll figure shit out when that time comes. I mean, you know, still got, you know, a while before it happens anyway, so I wouldn't really fret on it too much. Like I said, if anything, just, you know, try to work out, like, you know, a game plan for yourself with your mom to make sure that at least there's some way to, you know, have, you know, something, even if for a short time, to set you up. Sukov! Hey! Sukov! Get over here and have this treat instead, you little shit. Quit barking. The best of private anyway. Yeah, that's true too. In time. We'll figure that out. But anyway, I'll at least, you know, call it good for now. Get myself to work and all that shit. So, peace out, Nichols. I'll be back around for the next one. So, toodaloo, bye.